Welcome back to NTV News First Edition. You probably remember last week Dr. Janine Hubbard and I discussed that although true crime shows are very popular, they're potentially pretty distressing, not always appropriate for everyone. Well, following up on that this week, we thought we'd talk about how we can help determine what media content, what TV shows, movies are appropriate for our children. So joining me once again is Dr. Janine Hubbard with this week's Get Psyched. Pretty excited to talk about this as well. Of course, I have a 13-year-old, so she's kind of right in the middle of what's appropriate, what's not appropriate. So we know that movies come with content ratings, and many streaming services, online platforms have parental controls. So is that the best way to protect our kids from unsuitable content?
Probably not. I mean, they are there as a guideline, as a suggestion, but as we've been chatting off camera, there are some pretty traumatizing G-rated movies. Think about Bambi, think about Inside Out. We were talking about Up. There are some content in those that is pretty was distressing even for myself as an adult viewer. So it's more a question of figuring out what are the things that might be distressing for your child or problematic for your child. Sometimes, you know, it might be the violence, or it might be the nudity or the language, and other times it's more the themes. It might be something, the violence is fine, the, language is fine, but the themes of loss or death might be really distressing. And in another kid who likes to repeat catchphrases or words that they've learned, something with even mildly inappropriate language could be really unsuitable for them. So it's really figuring out what are the things that are going to work for them and not work for them at any age. Same as we talked about last week for adults.
Now, oftentimes children will hear about popular shows from other kids in their class, or maybe their older siblings or older students, and they really want to watch them. I'm thinking of Squid Game.
Yep.
Super popular. I remember a couple of years ago, children in grade 6, 11-year-olds, all watching Squid Game. I couldn't get through Squid Game. So what should we do in these cases?
And see, I knew enough about my own triggers that I wasn't even starting to watch that one, but certainly it was a commonly expressed concern. So it's a question of figuring out motivation. Is it curiosity because you've heard the other kids talking about it and you want to know what it's all about? Perhaps it's a fear of missing out. It's this is all anyone's talking about and I can't join in the conversation. In which case, maybe you can find a little shortcut where you can find some descriptions, you can find some general information, enough that they can contribute without having to watch it. And sometimes it's a real peer pressure. Oh, you're such a baby if you haven't watched this. And helping to figure out, what are the influences that are coming behind it, and how can you help your child to kind of navigate some of that situation.
Are there certain types of shows that are really hurtful to all kids and they just aren't age appropriate?
In some cases, it's just content that is above kind of their comprehension. So sometimes it's the, why do bad things happen to good people? Why did the bad guys get away with what they got happened? Again, sometimes it is early content exposure or fearful materials. So one of the things that's, and again, it can happen in ways where parents aren't around to help couch the information or answer questions or pause when they see that things are getting too distressing. Sometimes it's happening, on a phone at recess. Sometimes it's happening over at a friend's house. So really trying to look at how to teach your child the coping strategies, the ability to say, no, this isn't for me, this isn't going to be a good thing for me, and figuring out what are their triggers, what are the things that they can enjoy, and it's not really a problem, even if perhaps some of the content is a little above their developmental level. And like I say, even for all of us, knowing what are the things that we're just as well off not watching, because quite frankly, we don't need the nightmares, and we don't necessarily need that increased information.
Dr. Janine Hubbard, we could talk about this for hours, but thank you so much. I may be sending you a few emails later to ask you about some shows I'm thinking about. But thank you so much for this.
Anytime.